Welcome back, Cat 37 servicing class. Today we're going to go over the axis, how to create an axis in CATIA. When do I use this command? Most of the time I use axis when I need an axis of rotation. Either I'm rotating something or doing a circular pattern. Also for holes. Okay, so sometimes you have to deal with parts that have thousands of holes. Yes. A good example is old aircraft, aluminum aircraft. The fuselage, for example, the skin, typically made out of aluminum. You need to rivet that skin or bolt it onto the frame of the fuselage. And some of these aluminum skins, which may be the size of a bed sheet, for example, can sometimes have 1,000 fasteners, which may be rivets or hylocks, for example. Okay, and instead of modeling every single hole, which will eat up a lot of memory, it's better to just, instead of modeling a hole, thousands of holes in this aluminum sheet, it's better to instead use axes to represent, or use an axis to represent a hole. So that way it's easier for the machine shop, the NC programmer, to program where they're going to drill the hole for each location for a rivet or again a hylock fastener. All right, so let's create an axis. Okay, so let's go to CATIA. I already have it open, so let's go back and let's open the file. Okay, so here's the axis 1 cat part. We're going to download it. Okay, so don't forget it downloads in your temporary folder. If you like, you can go to the downloads folder and move it elsewhere. Okay, so if you go to your downloads folder, notice there it is. There's the axis file I just downloaded. You can always right click, copy or cut and paste it into your flash drive or your desktop or a folder on your desktop. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and open it. Click. Now, if you're having problems opening these files, chances are you're using an old version of CATIA, so I may need to send you an IGES file. I can simply convert this into an IGES file or .igs extension file that you can open up in CATIA. All right, so here we have a bunch of ellipses, circles, spherical shapes, revolutes, spheres, right? Slots. All right, so we're going to learn how to create axes. Let me change the color of the circle. Right click properties and feel free to change colors. You should feel comfortable changing the colors of objects or surfaces. Let me go ahead and change all the surfaces. It looks like they all have the default color, so I should be able to just right click properties on the whole geo set. Let me first change the name to existing geometry. Or I'll just call it existing geo, short for geometry. And I'll go to the graphics tab, and instead of the vanilla color, I'll go to a brown color so we can see it. There it is. Hopefully that's easy on the eye. All right, so let's go with the soft color. I want you guys to get comfortable with changing colors. I'll go with that soft green I used on the previous video. Okay, that's better. All right, so we're going to create new geometry, axes. Right, so let's insert a new geo set. Again, this is optional. I'm not going to take points off if you don't insert a new geo set. New geo, short for geometry. All right, so let's go ahead and follow the instructions. Once again, you can always go to the Word document attached to the email or the file that I'm going to upload and should be already uploaded into Canvas. And you're going to copy and paste the link, right? Copy and paste it to get to this site for the axis. Okay, so you just paste it in the browser, enter, and it'll take you to creating an axis. Okay, so we're going to learn how to create an axis on a circle or a portion of a circle. ellipse, portion of an ellipse, oblong curve, and surfaces like revolutions or revolutes or spherical shapes. Okay, so let's say we wanted to create an axis with respect to this circle. Okay, so when we create the axes, it's going to run through the center of the circle. So you have an option of going an X, Y, or Z direction. Okay, so we're going to select the circle and create an axis with respect to a direction, like X, Y, or Z axis, or an existing line, and also how to go normal to it. Okay, so let's go ahead and create these first two here. Okay, so there it is, the green line. And for my new geo set, right-click Properties, for lines, including axes, pick the third option here. For color, I'll go with cyan. Shows up pretty well, and I'll use a thickness of 3, just so it's easy to see. You know what? I'm going to change the line type. Instead of a solid line, I'm going to go with the center line. Okay. All right, so we're going to create an axis going through this hole, or using the hole, or my mistake, the circle as our reference. So let's go to line command, go to the drop down. We're not going to use line, we're going to use axis. So if you don't see axis, go to line command, go to the little downward arrow, drop down, and axis. By the way, if you don't see your line command or point command, if you're having issues, maybe it's buried here on the bottom right corner. You can always dig out tools, right? Left mouse click, hold, and drag. If you need to reset your toolbars, just right click on any icon, go to customize, and you can go to the tools bar, or tab, I should say, and restore position of all toolbars, restore, and okay. And it restores everything back to its default position. All right, so let's go to axis once again, drop down, line command, and go over to axis. Okay, so we're gonna pick the circle. Now it's asking us for a direction. If you're not sure what's next, you can always look here on the bottom left corner. It tells you what to do next. Okay, so I'm gonna go and let me try the X direction first. See if it gives me the X. There it is. It's giving me a preview. All right, here's the X direction, so you can see. By the way, you can always use the compass to rotate, right? As you can see. Comes in handy. If I grab the top of the compass, right, I can rotate, right? I can always click on an axis for orientation, normal to the Y, normal to the X, normal to the Z. Okay, so let's get a preview, and okay, so I created an axis going through the center of the circle. And it's going in the X direction. Okay, how do we know this is the X direction? Look at the compass, X direction. Okay, let's say we wanted to change it in the Y. Let's double click. Say, hey, we're gonna go, instead of the X, left mouse click in the direction area. It's blue now. Right click and go to Y. Notice now it's going in the Y direction with respect to the compass. Okay. All right, now let's do one going in the Z direction. Let's leave this one here. And we'll repeat the same command, axis. Okay, and we're going to pick the circle again. And for direction, we're going to go Z. We're going to go Z direction. Go Z, 3, 2, 1, Z. And I get an error message like, hey, can't go in the Z direction, right? Vertically. So, okay, let's see what we can do. So, couldn't go in the Z direction, but if I go to the drop down, hey, I want to go normal to the circle. So the circle is laying on this imaginary plane, right? It's a planar surface, or I should say a planar curve, normal to circle. And see, now it does go in the Z direction. So perpendicular to the planar curve, which is the circle, preview, and okay. And there it is, as you can see. Okay, now what's the length of the axis? Well, even though it's short, I shouldn't say short, but even though it looks like it's fixed length, actually axis goes on forever. Okay, so I don't know if I don't remember correctly if in the old CATIA, if you were to draw an axis, it would just go on forever. But now, just as a visual, they'll shorten it for you, so it doesn't just go on in all directions, all over the place, or I should say in two directions, going on forever. All right, so there it is. Let's go on to the next one. Okay, so we did the first three. Okay, X direction, Y direction, and normal to circle. Okay, now let's do an ellipse. So we can put an axis on an ellipse. I've never done this one outside of class. And we can identify the major axis, which is the long axis, and the minor. And we can also go normal. Okay, so we're going to pretty much repeat the same thing we did with the circle, but we're going to apply it to the ellipse. Okay, so let's go to the ellipse here. All right, so we're going to do the same thing. Go to axis command, pick the element. Okay, so we can go normal, right? We can say, hey, I want the major axis. There it is, right? Major axis. And okay, let's get the minor axis. Axis, pick the element. Okay, and this time instead of major, let's go with minor, right? And okay. And let's go normal. So axis again. Pick the ellipse, and this time we're going to go normal. So perpendicular to the planar curve, and okay. That's it. Okay, now let's move on to the next one. So pretty cool stuff. Okay, so now let's go oblong, or in this case, slot or elongated hole. Same thing as we did with the ellipse. Okay, we're going to do the exact same thing. Okay, so let's go back. This time let's pick the elongated hole or slot or oblong. All right, so let's do axis once again. Pick the element. And let's go normal to oblong. Actually, now let's do the other option first. Major axis. There it is, major axis, right? And okay, now let's do the minor. So axis of the oblong. Let's go with minor axis. There it is. Okay. And finally, let's do normal. Normal to planar curve. It's like going normal to a sketch, or the plane where a sketch lies on. Right, perpendicular. And there it is. Okay, so you don't have to do all of them. If you just do a few of them, you'll get the full credit. Let's see what else we have here in axis. Okay, so this is going to be a short, good video. We have Revolute. Okay, so we're going to put an axis along a spherical surface or a revolute. Okay, and then we'll call it quits. All right, so let's go back to CATIA. So let's put an axis on each one of these surfaces. So let's go to axis. Let's do this first one, this large one here. Okay, so axis on this surface, and click, and there it is, right? So it recognizes that this is the axis that was used to create the revolute. So here's the curve that was used to rotate about the axis to generate this surface. There it is, okay. Let's go on to the next one, axis on this partial sphere or again revolute, and okay. And let's go to the other one. Now it's a sphere. So the first two were not spheres. They were rotations, revolutes. So this one is actually a partial sphere. So we can give it a direction. It can go in any X, Y, or Z direction. Let's say, hey, let's go in the X direction. And it goes down the middle, down the center point of the sphere. You can also go in a different direction, right click, hey, Y direction. Hey, let's go Z direction. And let's go back to X. And again, you don't have to do all these. As long as you do a few, you'll get the full credit, and okay. And finally, let's do the complete sphere. So I do want you to note that it goes right through the center point. Hard to see, but there's a point here. Let me right click properties. Change the color. Let's make it yellow. Box. Okay, so there it is. I just want to show you the point. It's there. All I do is change the color. Okay, so let's go with axis again. Pick the surface. I should say the sphere. And direction. So it doesn't know which direction to go. As long as it goes through the center. Okay, let's try X direction. You can see it goes right through the center. Let's try Y direction. Okay, and I'll leave it there and okay. There it is. And it goes through the center point. Okay, so this is the end of axis. And I'm going to go ahead and save it. File, save as. And again, I don't want to save it in the downloads folder. I'll save it on my desktop folder for wireframe. There it is, axis. And I'll just put my initials at the end. Or you can put complete if you like. If you want to use complete or complete it, go for it. And save. And if you're going to email it to me, again, there's no due date. Close the file before you email it. You may have trouble sending it if the file is open. All right, so that's the end of this video.